Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video where I talk about the change that is coming today. The changes will be coming out sometime tonight, probably at midnight, I would assume, since that's when the Gardevoir patch came out, was at midnight. So this is just a bunch of bug fixes and some buffs and nerfs. So the first one is Charizard, where Flamethrower, the cooldown has been reduced, so you can use it more often, and then the effects on opposing Pokemon has been strengthened. So I don't know if that means the damage has been increased of Flamethrower, or if the extra damage you do on targets that are burning is stronger now. I don't know. And then second is his Fire Punch. The effects on opposing Pokemon have been strengthened. So again, I don't know if that means the damage it does has been buffed, or if it's the effect combined with your auto attacks that have been buffed. It doesn't say specifically. And then finally for Charizard is Fire Blast. The cooldown has been reduced, and again, effects on opposing Pokemon have been strengthened. So he could use it more often, and when he uses it, it gives him more reward. The only thing that was not touched on him was his ult and his Flare Blitz, as well as his passive and all that stuff, but we're mostly just talking about his main abilities. So the second one that had a change was Talonflame. Acrobatics got a buff to opposing Pokemon. So, now see, this one just says the damage dealt, which makes me think that the effects on opposing Pokemon strengthened means the buff to your auto attacks when they're on fire. But again, I don't know. So Acrobatics, the damage was increased. Aerial Ace, the damage was increased. Aerial Ace Plus, the damage was increased. And Fly, the damage was increased. So Talonflame, pretty much across the board, got a massive buff to his overall damage. Third was Venusaur with Sludge Bomb. Damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased, and the effects on opposing Pokemon has been strengthened. So not only is the initial hit when the Sludge Bomb hits the ground or a Pokemon, not only does that do more damage, but the damage over time when they stay in it is also stronger, as well as the slow in the Sludge Bomb has also been strengthened. Petal Dance, the move has been upgraded. I don't know if this means when you upgrade the move it's better, or if Petal Dance just has extra stuff added onto it. It doesn't say. The third thing for Venusaur is Solar Beam. The cooldown has been reduced, so you can use it more often, which is good because a lot of Venusaurs I've noticed are running the melee build. And lastly, his Unite move, or his ultimate, Verdant Anger, the damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased. I don't fully know how I feel about this one. I think his ult already did enough damage. At least if you got hit by both parts. And if you got hit by the first part, I always seem to get hit by the second. I don't know how to dodge the second part if you're in the middle. The fourth Pokemon to get changes is my personal favorite at the moment, which is Absol. His basic attack had some bug fixes. It doesn't say specifically what bugs were fixed. Night Slash, the damage to opposing Pokemon has been increased, which is great because I think Night Slash is better for bursty encounters, whereas Pursuit is better for more just chase down. As well as Night Slash allows you to reposition in quick succession without being offensive necessarily for over Pursuit. And then second, Sucker Punch. The damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased. The issue with Sucker Punch isn't the damage. The issue with Sucker Punch is that you and the opposing Pokemon you chose to Sucker Punch are both slowed, and the cast time of Sucker Punch leaves you in a very vulnerable position. If Sucker Punch was if the Sucker Punch didn't slow you, or the startup animation were faster, I think it would be a better choice. I don't necessarily think the damage is what made people shy away from it. Because I've tried Sucker Punch, and when I got on someone with it, I did a lot of damage. It's just, you hard commit when you take Sucker Punch and you use it. The fifth Pokemon is Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff got a lot of changes. All of her primary stats have been buffed: her defense, her special defense, and her HP, which means auto attacks, spells are going to do less to her, and she's going to have more overall HP before she dies. So she has more HP to live, and her HP is more effective because of her increased defenses. Next, Double Slap. Damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. I believe Double Slap is it's one of the moves she picks first. No, I don't know. I've never played Wigglytuff, but I'm going to be showing the abilities on the side of the screen for this, so it'll show what ability is being changed as I list them off. And the effects on opposing Pokemon has been strengthened. And then Sing, the effects on opposing Pokemon are strengthened, which I believe is the sleep, which is good, although I think that her Sing doesn't need a buff necessarily. It's already pretty obnoxious to deal with. And then Dazzling Gleam had some bug fixes. I have no idea what those bug fixes would be, so again, they don't list it off anywhere. So Eldegoss got some nerfs, which I think was warranted because Eldegoss is very strong. Cotton Guard, the cooldown has been increased so you can cast it less often, and the HP it restores has been decreased. So they want you to take her other option, which is Cotton Spore. And then Cotton Spore, the cooldown has been reduced so you can use it more often, and the effects on opposing Pokemon have been strengthened. Now, I don't know what Cotton Spore actually does, so I can't give any information on that, but again, it will be on the right side of the screen with the effects, at least. And this move's defense and special defense increase have been strengthened, so you gain more defense and more HP, or more defense and more special defense, so auto attacks and spells do less to you. As well as her ultimate, her Unite move, Cotton Cloud Crash, the HP it restored was decreased. And then Cinderace got nerfed to her more common moves. Her base attack has been nerfed, so her auto attacks will do less damage, which I think was warranted, because Cinderace does a crazy amount of auto attack damage in comparison to someone like, say, Greninja, or mostly just Greninja. The other ranged attackers are more spell based. Blaze Kick, the damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been decreased, which is good because it would chunk even tanks for a quarter of their HP, which is ridiculous. Feint, the move has been downgraded. I am assuming it means it's getting rid of the attack speed it gives you, which is, it gives you invulnerability and it gives you attack speed after the move is done. That's crazy for someone like Cinderace, who's primarily an auto-based attacker. And then lastly, for Cinderace, Pyro Ball, the damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased. I don't actually think Pyro Ball needed a buff. I used Pyro Ball a lot when the game first started, and the damage felt fine. It's just that in comparison, Feint and Blaze Kick, Blaze Kick was just a much better option to pick over Pyro Ball. It was guaranteed damage, you didn't have to aim it, and when you did hit that person, you got increased attack speed, and your next attack is a guaranteed crit, as well as it stuns them in the location for a second, so you can just catch up to them. Blaze Kick was just too strong. I think if Blaze Kick got a nerf, Pyro Ball would be fine on its own. It didn't need a buff. And then for Gengar, basic attack, bug fixes, doesn't say, can't really go into what changed. Shadow Ball, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon have been increased, which is good because it wasn't that strong of a move. Hex, the move has been downgraded. So what Hex does without its original, or when you get to the level where it upgrades, is that you teleport to an enemy and you do spell damage, and then you do a quick auto attack as well. And if the enemy is under a status effect like Sludge Bomb, it resets and it does more damage, which is really strong, and they downgraded that move. So either it won't reset as often, or it won't do increased damage to Pokemon that are under status effects, like Poison from Sludge Bomb. And then lastly, Dream Eater, the move has been upgraded. I don't know what could be upgraded because Dream Eater doesn't do a whole lot other than when you take the jump on Dream Eater, it reduces the cooldown of Shadow Ball, and when you take the jump from Dream Eater, you restore a little bit of HP. So maybe the HP you get is better, or maybe the sleep lasts longer, or it could be a multitude of things. And then for Zera, the Spark ability had some bug fixes. I don't know what that could be. Maybe it allows you to lock on to your primary target a little bit easier. Wild Charge, the damage dealt to opposing Pokemon was increased and the cooldown was reduced. I don't think Wild Charge needed a buff. I think its damage was fine. The only reason people didn't pick it was because of Discharge being ridiculously strong. The same thing with Gengar and Hex, where Shadow Ball was okay. It wasn't great, but because it has to contend with a move like Hex, it can't do a whole lot. It can't contest with anything it does. So I don't understand the Wild Charge buff. I know they want people to stop taking Discharge, but all they had to do was nerf the damage that Discharge did. That's it. That's all they had to do. They can keep the shield on it, that's fine. But when Zera can run down a squishy opponent, or even a tank, they don't have to auto-attack them at all to get the extra damage when you apply paralysis to an enemy, and they take 3,000 damage from that move alone. That's too much. That move is ridiculous. And then, lastly, his Unite move, or his ultimate, Plasma Gale, the damage dealt to Pokemon has been decreased, so it does less damage. The ult, I agree with. The Wild Charge, I do not. I think instead of Wild Charge getting buffed, Discharge should be nerfed. And then for Cramorant, Whirlpool, the damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been decreased. Dive, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased, which I don't think the idea, or I don't think Dive's necessarily a bad option. It's just Cramorant himself does not really reward or do well going forward. He is played best as a caster or an artillery mage, and Dive, while is fun to use and has merits, they would have to nerf Surf a lot. and they would have to change how Cramorant kind of functions as a character right now. He's too squishy to go forward. He doesn't get a shield when he uses it. It didn't do that much damage before the buff, so I don't think it'll do it. Maybe they buffed it enough to where it'll just one-shot people and it'll be the new meta. It's possible, but I don't see people taking dive unless it's some crazy buff. And then Machamp, basic attack bug fixes. Cross Chop, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been nerfed. So Cross Chop for Machamp is where he lunges forward at you, and if he hits someone, his next basic attack is a crit. And then Close Combat, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon has been increased. I don't think that was needed, because before the Cross Chop build came, Machamp was already one-shotting people with Close Combat, and now it's just better at that. So Machamp's probably going to get picked more often. And then Lucario, Power Up Punch had some bug fixes. Bone Rush had some bug fixes. Doesn't say anything else other than bug fixes, so I can't elaborate anymore on that. And then for Greninja, basic attack, bug fixes. Can't go any more in on that. And then finally, Alola Ninetales had some bug fixes. And once again, I cannot go in any more on that because there's no information to talk about. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this. All the bug fixes, all the nerfs and buffs. Some good ones, some questionable ones, and this patch will be up by the time anyone sees this video. And I will also put a link in the description for the update on their website. So if anyone wants to look at it for themselves, they are more than welcome to do so. But anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, or night, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!